Welcome back to another exciting episode of Dear Black Woman. We are a podcast featuring Black women from different countries. I am Cammie Red, here with my co-hosts Lauren Edwards and Nicole Davis. And today we are joined by a guest co-host, Leonard Lionel. And we have a special guest author, Mecheal Elizabeth, author of Perfectly Imperfect. Now, in this episode, we're talking about something many of us have struggled with: body image and beauty standards. We're diving deep into the pressures we face as Black women when it comes to defining our beauty, from the impact of colorism to the challenges of embracing our natural hair. We'll be sharing personal stories of self-acceptance, breaking down societal expectations, and reclaiming beauty on our own terms. So if you're ever had a question about your beauty or struggle to love the skin that you're in, this conversation is just for you. All right, so I am going to welcome my co-host to the stage. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I like I use Leonard's background.
You are just
Wow.
yes, Len. You had to put that in there, didn't you?
Oh my God. You know, let me say this. I looked at your name, your whole name, and I was like, oh, his name is Leo Lion.
Yeah.
I'm making a statement here.
Yeah, I've literally been calling you that. You can ask Lauren. I was like, that's gonna be my nickname.
I can see him. We can't really see you. You have to come forward because the lion's taken over you.
Oh, man, don't say that.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Okay, ladies. First of all, also welcome to our show, Miss Mecheal Elizabeth, the author of.
Hello, Mecheal. Hi.
All right, so we're going to jump right in this morning. And my first question, we're going to start with Mecheal. What inspired you to write Perfectly Imperfect? And how does it reflect your personal journey with self-acceptance and body image?
Oh, nice question. Nice question. That's a big question. However, I didn't actually intend to write a poetry book. My poetry book came as me writing as a cathartic process.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through a marriage breakdown, and during that time, I was just writing to release what's going on within me. So the collections of poems only came about relatively in a short period of time. I've never written anything in my life. I'm talking about my writing is maybe 5 years old, if that. So, I just didn't even think about putting it together. But my daughters said to me, "Mum, you've got a load of poems. You've got to do something with this." So I said, "All right, then let me see what I can do." And I brought it to a lady who attended my church, and she said, "No, you definitely need a publisher." And that's when, like 2 days later, I went to a dinner party, and Danny Fletcher was there sitting next to me. I didn't know her, she didn't know me, and we got together, and she said, "Send me your manuscript," and it was born. That was it.
That was similar to you, isn't it, Cammie?
Nice. That was great.
It's that transition of just putting stuff down on paper.
Yeah, that is very similar to what happened with me in Dear Black Woman. Like you said, yours was a breakdown of a marriage. Mine was a breakdown of a relationship. And mine was actually a therapy assignment that I had completed.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, poetry, now I'm on reflection, when I look at it, it is a therapy in itself. And I didn't even realize when I was writing all of this stuff how the journey began, how it ended, and it literally was a journey. And I didn't realize to the end. I think when I got the book and it was put all together and I read the book, I cried. I read my book about 6 times, and every time I read the book, I cried again, because it was a mirror image of what I went through. And I was just like, how did this happen?
Interpret it differently every time you read it, or was it so every time you got something different from it.
Yeah, and it was just showing me how difficult things were I was seeing for myself, and how my self-esteem took a bashing, and knowing that there was something deeper than myself within me that brought me out of the situation that I was in, and I haven't turned back since. And I'm so glad it's not that it broke down, but glad that something good came out of something. So, yeah.
So can I ask something? How has writing poetry helped you process your own struggles with beauty standards and self-perception?
That's a good one. Because I remember writing something about myself. I never ever thought of myself as beautiful, ever. I found it hard to even look in the mirror, just looking at myself for a very long period of time. People can do it all the time. I was busy doing everything for everybody else, but actually looking at myself and saying, well, you're beautiful. That never came out my mouth. When I decided to do this unpicking myself and realizing that it's not necessarily the beauty with the facial beauty or whatever it is, the outward image. It was what was going on inside of me. If I didn't feel that inside of me, it will never come out. And I look back at some pictures of myself during some really tough times, and I could see how there was no beauty in me as such, because I couldn't emulate that within myself. And you have to do the work within what they call the shadow work within to understand how you got to that position, what makes you feel like that. The things that we've been taught as we were growing up. And I especially like the hair. Okay, we start with our hair. Yeah, and growing up, we were told keep away from the water; it'll shrink. To make it look glamorous. Or then it came the perming situation. Yeah, everybody had to perm their hair, and And it wasn't until my daughters decided they were going to go natural. My daughters have long hair. I never had long hair. My hair was always short, and I had a bit of an afro, but that's it. And I didn't feel the quality was good
enough. Yeah.
And they retrained my language around that, and I thought, oh, okay. Knowing how to care for your own hair, that alone built up your own self-esteem, because we were taught looking at from the outside in, that's how you're supposed to look.
We said that, didn't we, yesterday, Cami, about what we had to kind of go on, or what we had to, who we had to look up to. They didn't really look like us in the first place, so we were sort of aspiring to people that didn't even look
like you.
Nothing like us. And because we didn't embrace our own image, then everything else took over. And when you get to a certain age, and maybe enlightenment, and you realize that's not what you want to do. That's not me. And even when I decided, I had perm hair at the time, I cut off all my hair. My daughters cut their hair off. They did it about a couple of years before I did, and they would say, "Mum, do it, cut your hair off." I said, "You know what? It grows back.
It does.
No matter what, it grows back." And my hair was really short, got it all out of the way, and then stresses took me, and then there was patches everywhere, and you're thinking, why should I have done this? Should I have not? But I persevered with it. My hair now is quite long now. It's the shoulders. It is thick.
I was going to say, and it's natural, correct?
and it's natural.
Yeah.
It's totally natural. I mean, I go out and I might put in like a extension ponytail and just put it up and stuff like that. But that's usually for protecting my ends. In my photo, I had the twisted style with the wrap on, and I kept that for a long time because it was the easiest way. And also, I didn't like the stress on my hair because the stress would pull out your hair for follicles, stuff like that. So I didn't do that, and I hated hairdressers, full stop. I'm not for the hairdressers at all. So yeah, I stayed away from that. So yeah, every time I went there, it was like, oh, another part of me has gone. Yeah, that was it. But yeah, so I struggled with that image of myself. And then, you know, when you're in a situation which didn't sort of enhance how they're supposed to enhance you again take another knock in that situation. So it's like, okay, no. If I'm going to do bad, I'm going to do bad all by myself. Yeah. There's that. So I'm a sort of person, I don't like to stay in confusion. I like to understand why this has happened to me, or why have I allowed things to happen to me. So doing this was such a cathartic process, perfectly imperfect. I named it that because I had to accept I am not perfect in any shape or form, but I'm beautiful. God tells me I am beautiful.
Yeah. The very first lesson in my book, Dear Black Woman, is perfection ain't real. So I love the title of your book because it pretty much says the same thing. We are perfectly imperfect. We are designed the way that we are meant to be, regardless of what that looks like. And we all look different.
Exactly. And I know, as I said to you, I think God has a good sense of humor. There's a variety. He has a good sense of humor. And if you look at it like that, hey, we're all meant to exist on this earth. He's got a good sense of humor. Who is you to tell me that I'm not beautiful?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Is that not the statement? Yeah.
As simple as that.
I have a question for you, Elizabeth. Would you say that the process of your book was a point where you were able to find different part of yourself that you didn't know about?
Oh, I tell you, this book has stripped me bare and built me up.
I love it.
That is.
I cannot understand. I was married for about 35 years, 33 years.
For how long? Sorry?
35 years. You heard her. You heard her.
Can I just say, Mecheal, that's where the patches came from. Just letting you know.
I wasn't going to say nothing, but
I know this. I know. Trust me. And now look at you now, Mecheal.
You got a beautiful whole head full of hair.
Yes, Leonard, you heard me right.
So building me up. I found parts of me that I never knew existed. I had to hunker down, trust God that He knew what He was doing. And I started joining my church. I joined my choir. I've never sung outside my house in my entire life. Last year was the first time. Now they want me to lead. No, I'm just like, oh. But
this is so amazing. Yay!
Oh my God.
So it's like, I'm going and doing things that I've never done before. I've never done a podcast before. You are the first. I've never. Last year I went away. What was it, about 5 times in 1 year?
You see what happens? You
see what on earth is going on? Yeah. And I said, Lord, I've realized that when I've opened myself up to the spirit within and allow God to direct me where I'm going, so many things happen for me.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for the blessings that He has given to me. And I had a testimony whereby I had my last son and I lost my sight. I couldn't walk. I had kidney failure, liver failure.
Oh, wow.
Walk and see. And I had the out of body experience, the lot going on. And I thought to myself, when I realized that I was dying, I said to myself, oh boy, if I'm going to God. And I remember a hole opened up beside me here. And it was nothing in it. And another hole opened beside it. And it was my then husband. And he's going, come on, Mecheal, come. And I thought, I don't do panic. And I remember the bed rose up and I was sort of leaning back on the bed. And there was nothing in the area, pure darkness. And I just looked back and I said, Lord, I surrender. And a light hit me on this side. And I remember doing something like this. And I went veering back down into my hospital bed. Nobody knew what had gone wrong with me. I suffered from something very rare. And it was just like an experience that Lord was actually saying to me, I've got you. I have got you. Don't ask me again. I have got you. From that, the doors have been opening.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Perfect. No, I haven't. But He stayed with me because He knows the journey and the purpose He has for me.
Yeah.
And this was my first stepping stone into the written world, the poetry world, to allow me to be able to go forward and write a fuller book, which I intend to do. But I had to have the experience. And that's why I said to you, sometimes when we look at what we're going through and we realize everything about us has been falling apart. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We need to ask the questions and not, okay, we can take up the makeup and splash it all over our face and go out there and say, yay, hey, nothing's wrong with us.
Those are the masks that we wear.
Those are the masks that we wear. Okay.
Exactly.
Stick it back on there. And I have to hold my hand up. That was me. That was me until my body was
one
just
of our previous episodes, Lauren talked about how we never see Black women break down. We always see the good and then we see the really, really bad. And I told her in between the good and the really, really bad, what we don't notice are the different masks that we put on, the different ways we go around hiding our true emotions, our true feelings, and what really needs to be shown to the world so we can get the help and the support that we need.
Yeah, literally that. And that term, strong Black woman, I got to hate it. I absolutely got to hate the term because I didn't want to be strong. I wanted to be weak. I wanted to see, but I had to be, sometimes you need to be in an environment where you're weak in safety. If you're not weak in safety, you can't show it.
Yep.
And that was my problem. Yeah. You've got to be feeling that you've
it's
got
like we've been taught, isn't it? It's like we've just been taught to so
it's not, and I'm in 100% agreement with you when you say you hate that term. I hate that term as well because it teaches us not to rely on our emotions, not to show our emotions. And that's the one thing we're trying to get away from, because that entails is how we end up with so many mental health conditions. That's why Black women have the highest rate of depression, anxiety, all of that, because we're walking around too busy being strong instead of being vulnerable.
Yeah. And that's why I wrote the poem, Don't Be Too Strong. I don't know if you read that. And that's where that came out of, because we're so strong that we even miss our blessings because we're so strong.
Yes.
And nobody thinks that we need that help. So I wrote that poem, Don't Be Too Strong, because I thought to myself, well, if I got that out, somebody might be able to relate to that. In actual fact, at the time I was writing all these poems, I didn't know anybody was feeling the way I was feeling. And that's the truth of the matter. And I remember when the book launched, my aunt rang me and she said to me, P, she said, you have just written a load of poems of what we've been thinking about, but never had the confidence to share.
Mm.
And it's at that moment I realized, oh, somebody else feels the way I feel. And every time I talk, somebody else feels the way I feel, because I was being strong, keeping everything to myself.
To yourself. Yeah.
This podcast has shown us that no matter where we are in the world, as Cami, I know you was about to say it, Cami.
We already know.
We go through exactly the same stuff. We just did it in different accents and different locations. Exactly. The same. It's right across the board.
I totally get where you're coming from with the book. One of the things that bothered me about writing my book was actually exposing myself to other people. Letting people know that I was having a weak moment, or I had suffered through something that I was ashamed of. And when I did write my book, I got so much feedback from so many other women that said, oh my God, this letter made me cry, or, this made me feel this way. And I said, okay, my therapist was right, and I'm just going to have to flow with whatever God's design is right now, because I had no intention of turning my personal stuff into a book. So I get it. So I want to actually open up the floor to everyone, and let's talk about some of the beauty standards that have shaped our own journey to self-acceptance, and what challenges did we all face along the way. I'll start with you, Nicole.
Yeah.
Wow. I am thinking about, and the earliest I've seen the manifestation of this was actually between my parents. My dad is a light-skinned dad. My mom is a caramel complexion lady. So, and when they were having some fights, they were, throwing at each other that, oh, your family is darker. Oh,
they actually saying this.
Like, really? Like, I've been thinking about that the past few days, and I was like, oh my God, yes. No wonder.
Yeah, we within the Black community, we definitely deal a lot with colorism. It's based on, and it goes back to what we say all the time. It's just the house slave versus the field slave, as it always has been in our history. The lighter skinned person was able to pass, or was able to do certain things that darker skinned people weren't able to do. I was reading something. Oh, I know what I was reading. Okay, so you guys know I'm preparing for my upcoming move, and I was looking on Reddit, and I was reading about how they treat Black people in Vietnam. And somebody had sent in a letter just asking, because they were going to visit the area, and they were like, well, they treat us the same way they do other foreigners. They're very nice to us. However, in certain parts, the darker your skin is, the less prone they are to speak to you or outrightly, acknowledge that you're
Wow.
Yep.
Sorry, Len.
Is there a reason why?
No, I think it's just what it is. And I think that's just because if you go to any culture, a lot of times in different cities, even in the Caribbean, in South America, it's the same way. Even within different, like the Latin culture, the lighter skinned Latin people are more accepting of other lighter skinned Latin people. They don't really, it's the same prejudice that we sort of face within the United States when it comes to colorism, where light skin gets more, dark skin gets this. But I'm gonna be honest with you. We're all gonna come out different anyway. So I've seen 2 light skinned parents have a dark skinned child.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as you say,
why are you looking like that? He goes, I'll be questioning if my
I'll be questioning that.
You can, because those things do happen, and it's the DNA. You could have even a throwback where you had a white granddaddy or great granddaddy or whatever it is, and then suddenly this child comes out
with ginger hair.
Exactly, and you're sitting there thinking,
I'm talking, yes, for sure.
Yeah, it's true. And it's a big thing in the Caribbean. I remember my mother was saying back in the day, and she was saying that, if you were a certain color, you couldn't even work in the banks or and supermarkets and stuff like that, because you weren't looked upon as favorable as to actually serve people.
Here in the United States, at one point, and I don't know if this was overseas as well, there was a paper bag test. If you were lighter than the paper bag, you got to do certain things, and if you were darker than the paper bag,
Okay.
And I understand that. So it's like, okay, what do you do? And those things have impact on your self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And you're not worthy of being in these industries and stuff like that. How do you draw your strength now to be able to go on and do something else? I mean,
I'm going to be honest with you. It's not just skin color here. It's hair as well. They've recently passed a couple of laws here in America, which in 2024 is ridiculous, where Black women are allowed to wear their natural hair in their corporate workplaces.
How dare
they? You know what? You say that, but then here in the UK, I don't know if you saw it, Leonard, as well, there where you had like the girl that went to school with her natural hair, and they sent her home, and then there was like this massive to and fro with the school about to have. So in my niece's school, she said a girl was sent home because she had her natural hair out, but her hair, she didn't have enough hair to put it back in one. But in my niece's school, you have to, if you're a girl, you have to have your hair back in one. So what are you supposed to do if you ain't got enough hair?
Yeah, and then it's not just women, because a lot of boys here in high school who have locks have been suspended from school and sent to alternative schools here in the U.S. because they have locks and refuse. Like, there has been controversy. A high school coach cut a football player's hair because he had locks.
Yeah, I remember that story. I remember that. That was appalling.
Not my child. Not my child. No way.
Yeah. So can you imagine? Yeah. And he didn't. The school did not apologize. They did not care. They did not care, because to them that was not the way the hair was supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so, let me ask Lauren. I'm gonna go back to our original.
I can't remember. Don't ask me. I can't remember. All I
know. How have beauty standards shaped your journey, your self, and what challenges?
Pressure. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. It's expensive. That's what I will say. The pressure is expensive. Yeah, the hair, the makeup, the nails, the light, everything, you name it. I mean, I look like how would you put it? A homeless person, like 80% of the time. But for a small amount of time, I do. I literally every day, even my mum the other day was like, do you even brush your hair? And I was like, yeah, I do. Like on like Fridays and Saturdays. That is it. Fridays and Saturdays. And for the podcast, I'll brush my hair. But the rest of the time, that is. Did you read what I put when I come back from holiday? I was like, I'm going to go back to unbrushed hair and leggings now, because that's me. But every once in a while, you have to, make an effort. But I've just got to the point now, a majority of the time, it's just too much. It's too much. It's expensive. It's time consuming. So I don't mind. And I think sometimes it's nice to just look like a
Don't
a
say
bit
it's
rough.
I was just going to say, what's she about to say? What's about to come out?
Yeah,
It's nice to not look done up all the time, so that when you do yourself up, you look completely different. Which then, you know, you just like, oh yeah, you do look like, you know, you can raise the bar. But other than that, yeah, it's too much. So
but then when you say that, okay, now this is where you have to sort of get the balance, yeah, because then you go out and people look at you and say, oh, this is how you look, yeah.
No, they don't.
This is how you look.
They know how I look. They go, wow, you look like. They walk past me, Mecheal. What do you mean? They walk past. They don't even know it's me. About wow. Do that. They walk past and then they hi,
it's me. It's me again. Yeah, it's me again. So try and keep it as natural as possible.
Exactly. They only know me joggers and messy hair. That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's something that
people have to say though, like when you go out, sorry Mecheal for cutting you, go ahead.
Nicole, go ahead, Nicole.
Yes, but the thing that people don't realize is that often, so I don't know, for our generation, I believe, Camille and I, it was like to enhance things, but these days, like you have lashes, your cheekbones are over here.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know how to get down with the whole, like I feel funny with a full face of makeup on. And I only do it when I have to be on camera, when I have photo shoots and things like that. When I'm filming, but I don't like wearing a full face of makeup.
Because it's kind of distort. It distorts the way you look, and you look at yourself and you don't recognize yourself anymore. You know?
For me, growing up.
What about you, Len? How do you feel with a full face of makeup?
It's like
I struggle with trying to find the right color tone to match.
Yeah. You need
to honestly, Leonard, just answer this. As a man, from a male perspective, how do you what do you perceive, especially when you see a female with a full face of makeup and then you see her without the makeup?
Honest. Yeah. You can see it's like,
I can tell this answer is about to be doctored, so be honest.
Do I lie or do I tell the truth?
Yeah. It's literally that. It's literally that. So I prefer a natural looking woman. I don't like being tricked in any way, shape, or form.
But he's right because have you seen some of these makeup transformations
on TikTok?
Yeah.
I don't like being tricked. That is
I don't like I shouldn't be like looking at you one day and then the next day thinking you look familiar. It just doesn't work.
Who is you? Who is you?
Exactly that. Like have I seen you somewhere before? Is the kind of thought process I have. Is just
what if you woke up to somebody who took their makeup off and they don't, because I've seen these makeup transformations on these girls. So what if you woke up and she took her makeup off and she doesn't look anything?
I haven't had that, but what I've had is woken up and seeing her makeup on the pillowcase. That's horrendous.
And it was a whole new face. It was a print.
Yeah, it was just, you see this. That on a it just it wasn't nice, and I don't appreciate it. I understand why some women do it, don't get me wrong, and I believe you all have it hard in that aspect in regards to have to conform and so forth and so forth, the standards, but at the same time it needs to be toned down for some.
Do you think it's getting out of hand?
It's been out of hand.
Yeah,
it's for a long time.
But why do you think that is then?
What I think that is social media.
Why do you think social media? Yeah,
I told y'all clones. Yeah, everybody's a clone.
Social media, and I think that the strength in self-love is depleting so and so because people don't think that, or have been shown that they don't meet that look, or they're not fitting that texture, complexion. And so therefore they're trying everything under the sun to change that. So when your neck is not matching your face, like you're trying to be something that you're not. You know?
Yes.
You are so right. You are so right.
I'm
And
leaving.
when your face and your neck are two different colors.
Yeah.
And your hands.
Oh
And
yeah,
your
that's
hands.
right. And your hands.
I went to college and I remember this guy came in and I thought, what on earth is going on? This was a different color. This was a different color, and the hands were a different color. And the bleaching is ridiculous.
Bleaching.
When you bleach
Yeah.
till you turn purple and sore, how comes you can't see that? I
You know,
just
my
don't
first
understand.
experience of seeing bleaching was probably here. I've seen it, but when I went to Jamaica and I saw what they and then they can't come out in the sun, and they can't, there's certain things that you just can't do, and you would be like, oh my God. And they have like this pink reddish kind of face.
Yeah, and it turns and it gets really spotty and splotchy. But the thing about that is that's dangerous for your whole entire body. That's not just you're putting a chemical on your whole entire body. You're messing up your entire like you are killing yourself with that. So the fact that people do it, and that goes back again to what we were saying at the beginning about colorism. And about how people will go to extremes. And I'm just going to say this. It's not just in the Black culture, because in the Asian culture as well, they bleach as well. So they are also turning their skin tone lighter than what they already are.
Yes, that is true. That is true. That is
so
true.
For me, you guys, let's talk about my process. Mine was never facial beauty or makeup or anything like that, because like Lauren has said in many of our podcasts, I live in America. So even though the standard here is that way with some of the clones, a lot of us, are comfortable in our own natural state and in our own natural skin. It was never the makeup for me. It was body image. It was about, my shape has always been an hourglass shape. And when I was younger, I was called fat, even though I wasn't fat. It wasn't until Sir Mix-a-Lot came out with that song, Baby Got Back, that people actually understood what my shape was.
I'm sorry, what's that? What was that song? What was the song?
You know the
song. Can you show us?
No, I'm not standing up on this.
Look at Lisa.
Please. For the camera, for the podcast, for the viewers,
for the fans, for the fans.
Watch this. If the viewers want to see me, they know where to find me.
Yeah, on here. What do you mean? What?
They know where to find the pictures. It's a whole file of them out there. Okay,
I'm scared. Listen. You better just send me the file. Send me the file.
Okay, like it's a whole. If you go to my TikTok, all you gonna see is pictures that you probably should not see. So,
what look at that!
Later. I'll look later.
What's the TikTok name again?
It's something else I can't remember today. Okay. Oh, what was funny was I posted one of those pictures on one of those collages, and I used one of the pictures, and somebody commented, was like, "Ooh, you look like that." I said, "Yes."
Because you only normally get this bit.
Yeah, because I only show this part of my body all the time, just the upper part, unless I'm doing a photo shoot or unless I'm doing something else. So it was, and then let me be honest with you, it wasn't until after I had a baby that I actually got boobs. So I always had sort of a pear shape, and then after I had my son, my body just curved itself out, and I was like, "Ooh, I look good."
But I think as well, when you talk about, because I would say for me, the best time was growing up. We didn't have any cameras or no camera phones really, so we could just be. I'm sure I've got pictures where my eyebrows are literally joining together, like bushy, had no, like, didn't have to worry, but I just had a great time. I've known Leonard for, like, how long have I known you now? Probably like 20 years.
20 years, yeah, 20.
About 20 years. And we used to go to like all these like clubs in London and stuff. And let me tell you, it was all midweek clubbing. And I don't think there's any pictures of any
Well, see, that's the beauty of now.
You can just go and
I mean,
enjoy
that's the
us.
beauty of back then, not now. The beauty of back then.
Yeah.
There was no comparison to the other person. People don't just compare themselves in beauty, they compare themselves in everything. That's why here in the United States, I don't know if you all got regulations on it, but they've started to put regulations on social media here because the Surgeon General has literally said how it causes anxiety and depression in people.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly waking up every morning and the first thing you do is you get online and you're looking at this girl's makeup and you're looking at this girl's hair and you're trying to obtain a life. It was so funny. I saw this video of this girl who was saying she was trying to put together this conference. And I think I've mentioned this to you too before. She was trying to put together this conference and it was a young lady who she had always idolized and she had always looked up to on social media because she was always taking pictures where she was on this yacht and she had all of these different designer bags and she was living this dynamic life. So she wanted her to speak at the conference so that the young lady could tell women what it was like to be financially free and all of this stuff. So she called the young lady, she reached out to her, DM'd her and all of this. And when the young lady got back to her, she said that the girl told her, well, I got evicted from my apartment and I'm between houses right now. She said, but what was crazy was the girl had just posted a picture on Instagram where she was standing in the middle of the street and she had the latest Coach bag or a Chanel bag or something. And she had on the latest boots or something like that. And she said she was listening to her and she was like, oh my God. You know, she was saying, I got evicted, I'm couch surfing, I'm all of this stuff. And she said, the fact that you have to realize that we are looking up to somebody else's fantasy. This is not real life.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
When I say clones, these girls are out here, they're paying $700 for wigs. They're getting their makeup done. They're learning how to do all this. They're buying this, they're buying that. But in reality, that's just another mask that they're wearing. That's just another way to cover up whatever is really going on inside. Makeup does it as well. That's why when Leonard said about being fooled by women and him seeing you one day and you look totally different the next, they're contouring their nose. They're putting cheekbones that they don't have. They're literally learning how to draw to be someone else on their face.
But then this is another thing I want to try and understand. Do you think this has come from what they believe men like? Because like I've had debates before where men have said, I believe it was like the Kim K situation.
I'm going to be real controversial here, okay? And I'm going to say something that I'm probably going to get a lot of flack from the LGBT community, okay? Yeah. I think the standard that is being set by drag queens.
Yeah, but I think it was from Kim K. I don't think it was from that.
They've been doing this forever. They've been doing drag queens have been doing this forever. And people
I think it was
quite they are not doing makeup like they do now.
Yeah. What I'm saying is why I say that is because the makeup popularity, the way things have boomed because of social media, you get to see a lot of that more. And I'm not gonna lie. I was a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race. I watched it for a couple of years, but at the same time, you notice how they do their makeup and their standards for makeup. Watch women now. Watch how women put their makeup on and they're gluing their eyebrows down. They're drawing their eyebrows on. Yeah.
Do you think it's because obviously I think you've Leonard, you said that it's too much. But what I'm saying is that do you think women have become like this because they believe this is what men like? Or do you think they're just doing it because that's what they're just doing? We've just become a bit fanatic when it comes to makeup and changing our face.
In my opinion, I would take a bit of what Cami said earlier on in regards to the competition. I think is a competitive aspect of who can outdo whomever. To a degree, it was about men and who they can appease and attract. But primarily, I think is trying to outshine others. Like who can look the best, who's got this, who's got that, and the fourth thing. Because there's nothing
so why has it changed from 10, 15 years ago to where it is now then, or 15 years
social
ago
media. You
So
just
exactly.
social media has been around. You just think that it's been around in the last 10, 15 years. I think in the last 5 to 10 years,
when did TikTok and
Plastic
Instagram?
surgery is more affordable. That's the big
100%.
thing.
Yeah,
It is.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, it's
massive.
social media is key. Lack of self-esteem is also a factor. And again, already to repeat myself, conforming to what they believe the standard is. Yes, men are to blame, because if you look at things like IG liking pictures and who gets the comments and who gets the attention from, whether it be from the higher level celebrities to lower level celebrities, just people with a stature, if you will, or capital, are wanting to see these people or wanting to have these people next to them. You know, the cliche statement of trophy wife. Trophy wife has been in for many a year prior to social media. So everyone wants to be that trophy wife, and they find the best way, I believe, is to look a specific way to be that trophy wife.
So let me say this. Also, question, Leonard.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. BBLs.
We'll be asking.
I'm asking your opinion on BBLs.
BBLs. Okay, BBLs, as in the actual operation, so forth. I'm not a fan of it at all. Like, I like a natural woman. That's my preference, a natural woman. And when you look put together, it just doesn't compute for me. But again, that shows us what the main interest is. Like, I'll say that's our fault, because we say to women, oh, you've got to have X, and if you don't have X, as in Sir Mix-a-Lot, you know, baby's got to have back, and if you don't have back, you got to pay for it. And that's
oh my God. What on earth is going on? The self-esteem of these women are just so low.
Yeah.
And that's playing on low self-esteem.
Ridiculous that they go through all of this stuff to please a man.
But what I'm saying, it's always.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think it's to please men. I actually think it's to please other women.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah, the reason, and it's not in a sexual way.
I would reframe that and say compete with.
Yeah, it's about competition. So, because if you think
it's always
about
been there. But what I'm saying to you, you're right, Cammy. It's always been there. So what I think Nicole made a real valid point that there's always been self-esteem issues within the Black community. There's always been a competitiveness within the Black community. Now, what I'm saying, I think the difference now is that surgery and the ability to change yourself very quickly
is accessible.
Is there. That's where it's.
Well, you know, they're going all over. Go ahead, Leonard. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I do apologize real quick. In addition, the reward is there. So, and what I mean by that is,
that's a good point.
If you took it away from social media, it's like the prettiest person or best looking person got the attention from men.
Yeah.
Got that man, whether it would be the footballer, whether it would be the basketball player, whatever sport, whether it would be the money man, if I can speak candidly and say the drug man, so it's the one that looked the best got that man. Now, with social media, you find that many women are trying to put themselves out there to get the bag, to get those likes, and to get that money coming in. So you do as much as you can. More people are going to follow you. More people are going to like you, and then you got that tick, and then you got money streaming in.
Here in the United States, there's a show called Dateline, and that's a news show. So they do like different types of social experiments on this show. And they did a social experiment where they based it on image. They based it on how a person looked when it came to also not just dating, but getting a job. And image plays a large role in how you get a job. They showed how the pretty girl, whether she was Black or white, would go into the job interview and she would get a totally different response from the dumpy, nerdy looking other female. They also showed that it's the same with men across the board when it comes to image. So the guy that looks more up there, more put together, even though he may not be as qualified as the other person, would actually get a second job interview based on his image.
But that just shows you how fickle people are, isn't it? And the industry is. Because if they're basing it on their looks, okay, and they know that they are not even qualified to do that, and that shows you that's what you're teaching the world to think. You've got to look a certain way to get the job, regardless.
And that is exactly what we're that's exactly what we're saying.
Or the ability to do it. And that shows me that, as I said, you need to do the work from within.
Yes.
The beauty is actually within. If the world can teach you all these things about the superficiality of the world, okay, and you buy into that. Now, when you get into that job, you can't do the job, so you don't last that long. What was a waste of time? That was a waste of my time.
You just get bigger chest and then just hope that you can get another 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's look at something. If we want to talk about how beauty standards have changed over time, let's talk about the fact that everything that defines us as Black women, we're told to us that wasn't beautiful. That's not the way we were supposed to look. However, nowadays, who do you see people emulating the most? Who are they trying to fix their looks to look like?
The lips.
Yes.
The lips, the butts, the snatch waist.
They're getting their skin tanned, they're getting their lips plumped up, they're getting BBLs. So who are they trying to emulate right now?
That's why I said that Kim K, to me, was the person who kind of started to make the white woman emulate the Black woman, because what you ended up having was like, she did have the the BBL, she would cane row her hair, she would she would do all these things, and it was like, once again, the media was started to go, wow, like, she's so beautiful. And so from that, you get all these girls following exactly the same thing, tanning their skin, putting fillers in their lips. And what I mean? I think she was the kind of one that just turned the corner.
So she did what they call culture appropriation.
Yes.
That is where she took everything that made us quote unquote unbeautiful, and she utilized it to make herself stand out and be beautiful, when in actuality what all these women who hate Black women are doing is they're just emulating us. They're looking like us and telling us that we are not beautiful in the process of trying to look like us. So is it my question to you guys is this, and then we're going to wrap up. Is it them trying to control our beauty standards and our self-esteem by telling us that our looks are not beautiful, or is it them trying to control their beauty standards and their self-esteem by saying that they want to look like us? Which one is it?
Both.
I would say both.
Both.
The gaslighting.
Because somehow there's always a little bit of envy. I had too many times white colleagues just being in my face trying to count my wrinkles. Oh, you don't have any. Oh, like, really? Like, too many times. Oh, wow, I love your figure. Oh, you look nice. Like, really? I don't have. Oh, you have so many such and such, but I don't have. I'm not, because I'm not looking at you, but they look. You feel constantly looked at. And I don't know if it's the case for you, Camille, Elizabeth, Lauren. I'm sure that is the case for you as well. But so many people came really like to hear, oh, I'm not seeing a wrinkle. Like,
I told you guys about how when I go out with my son, they're constantly saying, they're like, oh my God, I don't believe you have a son that age. And I'm like, yeah. I'm his mom. And it makes my son angry. Because he's like, no, that's my mama. She is not my sister. We are not the same age. and they're like, you got a son that's grown? Yes, I have a son that's grown. I am in my mid-40s. I'm sorry that you look like the Grim Reaper.
So
when you reach
you're in your
40.
40s, and
And
I'm
that's
hitting
one
my
thing we were
60s.
talking about actually, is that as I believe, as Black women get older, they become more
because we have
beautiful
that,
yourself.
we have that acceptance from within where we're like, you know what? I've survived all the shenanigans of the white world.
Just
They
say
know.
shit, Nicole, not shenanigans.
She's
All the
saying
shit in the world.
she's trying
Like,
to
even Nicole
we
say
got
shit.
guests.
Today she's
trying
like
to be polite.
shenanigans.
I'm
We
trying
got
to
guests, so she's trying to be polite. I picked up on that.
like,
Some
and
people
it's
do the shit of the world, but today it's like
I'm
shenanigans.
still here. I'm still here, and I'm still trying to do my best, and I'm still a Black woman. And now I am appreciating more of the essence of who I am now, because I'm starting to understand, because we are far away from the mind controlling that we have when we are in our 20s, where we're trying to conform. And now, getting older is a good thing about that, where
Yeah,
we
you
don't
don't
give a fuck,
care
really.
anymore. Yeah, you don't
Exactly.
care.
Yeah.
I really don't care. I'm
I
happy
don't
to be
care
me.
either. I be like,
I'm
I'm
happy
gonna
to be
wake
me.
up. The most I'm gonna do is put on this red lipstick, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Okay.
Listen,
So,
going into the shower, just in my hair, and I'm like, that's good. A little bit of powder, lipstick. I'm done. And then a bit of brows, because
oh yeah, them
it
brows be on point.
hits away on my face sometimes. But really trying to keep it to a minimum, and just enjoying me and my, and my face, and me, and all the facets of who I am at that age. So, that is key.
All right. So my last question to everyone, and
Give it
we're
to
gonna
us,
end the
Kathy.
show on
Give it
this.
to us.
What message would you want younger generations to hear about body positivity, self-love, and rejecting harmful standards? And we're going to start with you, Mecheal.
I would say
Great question.
that you have to love who you are, as God intended you to be.
Exactly.
Nature is perfectly
No,
imperfect.
no, you did
Lauren,
not
yes.
want me to look like
Oh,
this.
it's perfectly imperfect. And I say,
I'm
along
not
the way,
accepting that, Mecheal. I'm not accepting it. No.
you have to, because at
Because
the
I'll
end
be outside with no bra on. He never intended for that to happen. I tell you that
I
now.
do be outside with no bra on, okay? I'm just going to let you
as
you outside with no bra on because I don't like it no more, okay? So...
Some of the intentions have to be there. You have to change it up sometimes, Mecheal. You have to.
As you change it up, I'm not saying that you can't do things to enhance, but you still have to love yourself.
Yes, you got to love yourself.
Yeah. And by looking at yourself and believing that, there's more to life than just looks.
Yes.
Because that you can have a beautiful person and she ugly inside. As far as I'm concerned, ugly. Yeah. And you can't recognize it because of the mask that she's wearing. That's a problem. So you need to do the work to actually realize that, you know what, that's a smoke screen. I need to know what's going on in the head. Yeah.
Okay, Lauren, to you. What message would you want?
I think just reduce your exposure to social media. I think there's some platforms that I've just decided not to go on because I just believe they would be very dangerous for me. I'd come to the next podcast looking like the Catwoman because
no, you wouldn't, because I wouldn't let you.
I'd be like, why, folks? You'd be like, Lauren, what have you done to your face? I was on IG.
So literally in the pre-show, I would say, Lauren, I think you're going to have to sit this one out. Okay.
Seriously, Lauren, what are you talking about?
Hi, I've been on IG and now
I wouldn't even let you go there. I'd be like, Lauren, I don't know what
I think reduce the social media. I think if you're younger, just reduce the platforms in which you're on. And
okay, Leonard, I'm going to kick it to you next. What would you want younger generations to hear?
Be comfortable and accept your flaws. Yeah, that's a key thing for me, because as we all know, we're imperfectly perfect. So there's not going to be a perfect version of yourself, but you just got to be strong within the sense of, this is who I am, and who I am is good enough.
Yes.
You know, there's, like, for myself, I know there's attributes where I think I'm all right, and I have a good day, I have a bad day, but nevertheless, I know what my flaws are. I've accepted them, and I keep pushing. And that's my mantra, if you will.
Okay. Can I read my last poem on that one? Because
Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me let Nicole go, and then you can read your poem, okay? Go ahead, Nicole.
For me, that would be just be, because the most damaging thing that you can do to your soul is really to compare yourself to somebody else.
Yeah.
So we are all valid, we are all worthy, wherever shape and color we come in, and it's just the diversity of all of us that make this world beautiful. So just thrive in it.
Okay. All right, Mecheal, go ahead and read your poem for us.
All right. It's called Nature is Perfectly Imperfect.
I knew that was going to be the one you picked today.
I knew. Has to be. Has to. Nature is perfectly imperfect. Imperfections which are there for a reason, to shape, to hold, to be remold, to create a reaction, to start a conversation, thus reasoning the hows and whys, fostering a healthy appreciation, respecting the differences, alliances, and boundaries, the symbiotic truth that exists, which challenge the physical and moral compass of the human mind. It's beautiful to see an awesome body of vibrant energy, a conscious being with endless intricate networks of discovery and possibilities. I am perfectly imperfect, a form unique to me alone, being at one with my soul, accepting the perplexing, however things come about, appreciating the uniqueness of what the world has on offer. A deep breath I take in. I close my eyes to relive the pictures of the blessings I see each morning. Every day I pray to see again the universal wonders displayed to all men and women. I gasp in amazement and cry tears of joy that God's creations are so perfectly imperfect. We're so blessed and able to enjoy. I am humbled at the thought that God still loves me, knowing I'm so perfectly imperfect.
Yay!
I love it.
That was lovely.
Really nice. I love it.
Lovely.
Love it.
Thank you.
So with that being said, you guys, I want to thank
you.
Mecheal Elizabeth for being on the show. I want to thank you, Leonard, for being our co-host this morning. And invite both of you back at any time, because we are three Black women who just sit on here and just, I told you, just talk like your girlfriends about different topics that are relatable to Black women all over the world. So with that being said, you guys, thank you again for being on the show.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Okay, you guys, I just want to tell you to show up authentically, love yourself for who you are, and be the true you, okay? Thank you for tuning in to another powerful episode of Dear Black Woman. Again, we are three Black women from different countries, just hitting home with some of the issues that Black women face all over the world. We hope our discussion today reminded you that beauty isn't defined by society. It's defined by you. Whether you're embracing your natural hair, finding self-acceptance, or breaking free from limiting standards, remember that your beauty is unique and worthy of celebration. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with someone who needs a reminder of that too. And don't forget to leave us a review review. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment on your favorite podcast platform. A special thank you to Rabbit Productions for providing the music that keeps our episodes going. And until next time, stay confident, stay true, and always love the skin that you're in.